My name is Azo Santiago, and I'm a fifth-year guard on the men's basketball team, and I'll be hosting this Black History Month panel here this evening. Decided to put this panel together to touch on our experiences on how we came to Canada West and kind of touch on our experience as students and athletes at the University of Calgary. So without further ado, I'll let Jada kick us off on your experiences so far.
Okay, cool. My name is Jada. I am a fifth-year graduate student. I'm studying kinesiology, and I am a center on the women's hockey team here. I did 4 years in the States. I played at Lindenwood University, got my undergrad in athletic training, and I'm really excited to be here to talk to you guys about my experiences.
Sweet. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Dawn, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name's Dawn. I'm a second-year student studying psychology. I decided to come to the school because I wanted to continue my education and complete it and really make some memories.
Nice. Tyson.
My name is Tyson Rowe. I'm a third-year football player. I play H-back, and I'm studying economics.
Okay. Who's had like negative experiences in sport? Kind of. Like being racially discriminated against, like those types. Yeah, you kind of like ish.
No.
Not really.
Not gonna lie, yeah. Not that I like. The only problems I've dealt with is like I never thought about who I was, but other people will then like I don't know, give me labels or like ask me what are you, or like you're not black, or
Yeah.
you're white, or you're not white. Like I've heard it all, and I'm like I never even thought about those things. Like I am just Tyson Rowe. That's how. And so then when those questions started coming in school and in sports, in new environments, that was the only time I really struggled with like, well, like how do I even answer that question? And even being invited to things like this, like, earlier on in my life, do I belong on a Black History Month panel? My experiences are not the same as yours. I am not 100% black. That's reality. So I won't fully enter into the struggles and the things that you have gone through. And there's so many levels to that. Like each individual is different, whatever race you are, and you can never fully understand someone. But the thing for me was that I think that's overlooked, and I'm kind of realizing now is that one thing about being mixed is you don't even have a parent that is the same as you, right? And so I'm lucky. I'm the youngest of three, and I have great role models in my life. And my cousins are mixed as well, and they're older than me too. And like, I'm so blessed with my family and my surroundings, and pretty much every environment I entered, whether it was a new team or a new school, they had paved the way for me already. And so that community was familiar with kind of who I was and where I came from. And that made things a lot easier. But yeah, I guess just answering those questions were hard. And where do I fit in if I'm not white and I'm not black?
Yeah.
Those were questions that were challenging early on.
And how did you respond to those types of questions when you first encountered them?
I would kind of just make a joke out of it. To be honest, like I always grew up, and part of it was me being taught, and part of it is just my personality of like I don't really care about what other people think about me, and like I want to be liked or likable. I want to be kind to everyone, but in the past, it's taken a lot to really get to me with your opinion, because the people closest to me and the people that I love the most are very supportive, and so I don't need to go to anyone else for that support. And that's a privilege that I quite frankly take for granted. But often when faced with those questions, I would just make a joke about it. Yeah, I am, or whatever. I got the best of both worlds, whatever nonsense. But yeah, to this day, if you ask me honestly, like to answer that question, I don't know what I'd say.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm still Tyson Rowe. I'm mixed. I have a dad or grandparents that are from Jamaica, and I have the other side. I have grandpa from Stony Plain and a grandmother from Missouri.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Mm-hmm. I think that's definitely the right approach because, like, I don't know if I'm speaking for myself or like everybody on this panel, we are, especially at the University of Calgary, we are not the majority. And I think in order for us to kind of be able to walk into spaces like Tyson mentioned and be comfortable with who we are is a huge difference maker because the attention is already on us as soon as we walk in the room. So why not use that to our advantage in different situations so that we can succeed as opposed to being scared or having maybe an identity crisis knowing that, okay, the majority is not Black, but I'm comfortable as a Black person in this space. So I don't know, like if any of you guys have been in those spaces where you have been the only Black person, like how have you kind of maneuvered through those situations or acted? I see you come down.
Sorry.
I'll let Jay kick it off. Like.
No, I mean, I grew up playing hockey, very predominantly white sport.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Ottawa, Barhaven area, predominantly white neighborhood, predominantly white high school, so I've always been that minority from wherever I am. With hockey growing up, I can think of myself and then one other Black girl who was in the area who would play hockey, and we were just like kind of known as those were the two Black girls who played hockey in Ottawa. Just kind of, it wasn't hard to miss us. I'm also like 5'11", 6 foot tall, so you really can't miss me on the ice. So I've definitely grown up in the environment of being the minority or being the only Black person in a room, and it definitely has like shaped me in the person I am. Like I always like to see the good in everyone and think everyone has the best intentions all the time. I know it's not always true, but that's kind of how I live my life. Like if you ask anyone, like I feel like they would say I'm a very like outgoing, smiley, bubbly person. But it's also because I had to kind of make sure I didn't give any reason for me to be looked down upon or seen as less or anything like that, because I needed to, like I knew, especially like my parents, how they brought me up was like, just because you're Black, like you are a step behind everyone else for what, like in the sport that you're playing, which obviously is not the best thing ever, but I love that because it was like, from what I'm doing right now, I need to make sure that I am like at 100% in shape, make sure I have good grades, make sure that I'm just like, there's no reason for me to be seen as lesser than anyone else, and that I'm like working that much harder to get to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don, how about you? Have you been in any of those?
I think for myself, it's similar but a bit different because I lost both of my parents at a very young age, and I was adopted into a different minority. So my mom is Filipino, so I kind of grew up in like a Filipino household, but still had family ties to my African side, and so just like trying to maneuver. Who am I? What am I? Do I reside more to the Filipino side? Do I reside more with my African heritage? Like, it really was trying to figure out where I fit in and who I am and who I'm supposed to be. Because you go to like events and clearly I'm not Filipino. Like, I don't look anything, and people are always like asking my mom like, "Yo, who's that girl? Like, what is she doing? Like, how do you know her? Is she like a family friend?" Like, it's just, it amazes me why people can't accept that families look different. You know, that doesn't change the love. They're just unique. You know, I think that's very important for kids to see, because maybe there are kids in our situations who feel like they're different from their families or different from their peers, but I would rather be unique and different than be
The majority. I think there's like a common theme, whether that be your background or Jada talking about having to work extremely hard just to be portrayed as somebody that's accepted in a predominantly white society. I think that we have to work twice as hard to, one, break the stigma to get the benefit of the doubt, and then we have to prove our excellence or like our specialty, our education, our athletic ability. So I think that like Tyson would be a good example of this. Like, after you've been through football, won the national championship, you're in econ, like what is life like as a student being a black athlete? Like there's a stigma between already being an athlete at UFC, but on top of that you're a black athlete. Like how has that been like just going through school?
That's a good question. One thing that's helped me in football since my whole life, but like I started when I was 7 years old, but especially since grade 10, like I've played, there are like 4 positions on the field that I haven't played. I've been everywhere. And so even in that, like I didn't have an identity. When someone asked me what position I played, I didn't know what to say. When someone asked me, like I won a championship in grade 11, I won city and provincial championship at St. Francis. What, I wore 3 different numbers that year. I played however many different positions. Like, fill out the form to put the label on your jacket. I didn't know what to do. I feel like that happens in everybody's lives in a lot of different aspects. And so I guess I'm thankful for those experiences because they've helped me navigate that. But just looking at things, yeah, like less in boxes and the lines are kind of blurred. And I think they're kind of supposed to be. Like there is more flow.
I agree.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, I think that is a perfect approach to the situation. Like, if we lived in a society where there wasn't labels, I think we'd all be able to move a bit more freely or have access to different places or be given more opportunities. But the fact that there is, and we need to be aware of that, and we need to kind of try and break the stigmas towards that. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm in my 5th year. I'm in finance, I'm in my upper level finance, and I'm in classes of 60 to 70 people, and I'm the one and only black person in all of my classes. Is that a coincidence that in the financial sector that a lot of people say is a like secluded world that I'm the only black person trying to break in? Like, I don't think so. So there is a label on top of that where it's not normal for me to be in there, which is why I'd like to try and get in there to break the barriers so that another black athlete or many black athletes that want to go through finance can follow my path. Like you said, your brothers ahead of you have been able to kind of shape the way for you so that when you walk in as Tyson Rowe, people know that, okay, I'm mixed. I'm not white, I'm not black, but I'm mixed. And my older brothers have set the way, paved the way for me. So I think in that instance of understanding that labels should not exist, I agree, but they do exist. Like, how do we continue to break them down? Like, Jada, you went to school in Missouri. Like, that must have been a totally different experience than going to school at UNC. So, like, what have been some of your experiences at Missouri? And just kind of talk about
Mizzou's different.
Yeah, Mizzou Tigers. There's a lot. SEC is different, but yeah.
See, going from Ottawa to Missouri is about 17 hours away from my home, and now I'm in Calgary. I'm like 36 hours away, so I've definitely like gone away from home, branched out, kind of wanted just like a different experience, which I've definitely gotten. In Missouri, I would say there have been more black people there, which I was more surprised about compared to UFC, just in the sense of my classes and my environment. To be fair, at UFC, I am on the hockey team, and I'm in kinesiology, and I stay in like 3 buildings, not even, like the Oval and the Kin building. This is like my 2nd time in this hallway for this whole thing. So I haven't branched out that much to like seeing different people at UFC and kind of seeing who else is out there and who else is around. But like at Lindenwood, I had like people on the basketball team, the football team, the track team, which is everyone who's here, and that's kind of like where you'd expect to see everyone. And back in Missouri, everyone asks like, "Oh, what sport do you play?" And I'd be like, "I'm on the hockey team." They're like, "Oh, like field hockey?" And I'm like, "No." So I've been used to saying ice hockey for the past 4 years because I need to like specify the difference. I'm like, "No, I'm on the ice hockey team," and like the shock on people's faces is very like you just get used to it over like 4 years of being there. But it's just kind of like that's not what they expect you to say. Like they're waiting for track, basketball, volleyball, something like that. So you get used to it. That's kind of how it goes.
I think that it's important to kind of realize that racism is more a subset of discrimination. Like people discriminate maybe against the way you dress or how much money you have or your background. So kind of important to like what you spoke about is not letting it be an excuse. Like in order for us to break barriers, in order for us to get in spaces that we're not, in order for us to shine, we need to remember our past and cherish those moments, but not really let it be an excuse, if like you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like we all play sports, play individual sports, team sports. Like what stuff have you gone through on the field, on the court, on the ice, on the on the track that you kind of brought forward to life? Like what are those skills that have transferred over that have allowed you to succeed and like be resilient? So Don, I'll start with you because you've had interest and experience doing two different sports.
I think with bobsleigh, the biggest thing is getting back into a sled after a crash. Like I've gotten 2 concussions in my first 2 years of playing. I've had multiple crashes, more than people who have been in the sport for like 10 years. And every time it feels good to keep getting back in a sled, because to get back in a sled means you're overcoming another obstacle. But then sometimes there's, a point where you're like, should I even be continuously overcoming this obstacle? I think like both sports have taught me that I don't need to be perfect or the perfect image of what a bobsledder or a track athlete should be. Like for bobsleigh, I was the tiniest little thing you could see walking into the ice, and just a lot of people were like, oh, like she does track or she should go do skeleton. And I said, nope, I'm here to do bobsleigh. And they're just like looking you up and down, like really questioning your potential. And I think it's those moments where people question your potential that you get to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when like having multiple skills and multiple varieties of placement you can be comes in handy, because it's like they have nothing to attack because you've done it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Shada?
Yeah, I like to pride myself a lot in like my interpersonal skills and just kind of being able to have conversations, talk to whoever I would like to talk to. And so yeah, I take like a lot of pride in that. And I've definitely used that in just different aspects of whether it's going to be like interviews after hockey, or if it's just going to be kind of everyday life, day-to-day stuff. And even just like with like my family, my parents and brothers growing up, I had like tough love for sure, and that has brought thick skin. And kind of whatever bad thing someone else is thinking about, I promise you I've already thought about myself, or have had my family tell me in the best way possible. They're lovely, I love them. But they're just here like to make me get stronger, be tougher, but also like be a good human being. And that's kind of all I want to do all the time. Like kind of like we said before, like treat others how you want to be treated, and you're basically gonna do great in life.
Yeah. Tyson, how about you? Like anything that's you can transfer from the football field to life? Like what has been your experiences?
And that's why I love football. I think it's all, everything transfers. Me personally, I actually enjoy the mental side of the game more. I love the X's and O's and how much preparation goes into it. And I feel like I don't apply those things to my life enough. The hours that we put in or watching tape and picking apart every single step that you take, like it's annoying. But what if I put that effort into other parts of my life? What if I, like even just simply journaling at the end of my day, like watching game film. Where could I have been better? Where was I good? And why was I good there? I think it's really cool. And then just fitting into a team environment where there's so many different people with different backgrounds, different body types, different skill sets, and they all have to come together for one common goal. And if one person messes up, it can make or break every single player. And so it's really cool to just, and that applies in family, that applies in the workplace, that applies in the classroom. It's really cool in my opinion, and I'm definitely biased. I come from a family that played a lot of football. I didn't play many other sports growing up. Played a little bit of basketball and some sports in junior high, but I've been playing football my whole life. Like COVID was the first fall that I didn't play football for 15 years.
I'm gonna kind of switch the topic here to something a little bit more sensitive, I guess. I'll start with you just because you finished, but has there been any experiences, or can you remember your first experience as a kid when you've been discriminated against or experienced something like that?
Yeah, so I had a couple of experiences. I actually got to talk about them before. When all of the George Floyd stuff was going on, I personally was having a really difficult time with it, like just kind of like coping with all that was going on. So I wrote a poem, like a poem. I made a video and I posted it to my social media, and I was able to just kind of like express how I was feeling about that and put it to like my followers, and I made myself public so people could see it as well. And I got like some good buzz, I guess, and people like were kind of able to understand like my point of view about it. And then one of my old coaches, he reached out to me and asked me to do like a Zoom seminar, kind of talking about myself and my experiences being Black while playing hockey. So I got to do that back in 2020 when all that was going on, and I talked about like 3 main experiences that I had about being Black growing up. And the first one was when I was playing hockey. There was like a scrum in front of the net, and I was in a blue jersey. The other team they were in white jerseys, and the ref comes up and was like, "Back up, Black," and it's like, I'm in a blue jersey, they're in a white jersey. Who are you talking to? And I'm the only Black person on the ice. So I was very like thrown off because I'm like, you're a referee, and I'm like, I don't know, Pee-wee. I don't know if you guys don't know the age. I was younger. So I was just like, is this actually happening? And I went back to my coaches, and I'm not sure if I know like they believed me, but everyone was just like in shock. I was like, no way that actually happened. Had another experience where I was getting back from the ice onto the bench, and we were playing a French team, and the French team was just like tout noir, and you guys don't speak French, I'm assuming in Canada. They didn't speak French in the States, so I'm not sure. Just means you're Black, and I was and in the moment, I like my teammates heard it too, and we started laughing. It's like, did they really just say that? Like, thank you for pointing out that fact about me. Like, I know, I'm aware. But it was just kind of like, you're using that as something that you're supposed to like as an insult to me, as like a chirp to me. Like, I don't understand what the purpose of that was. And again, it was just kind of want to kind of brush under the rug. Like, it's kind of like funny. And then I had another big experience in my freshman year of university. We were playing a game, and I was about to take a draw for the face-off because I'm center. And at the face-off, one of the players called me the N-word. And I was like super thrown off my freshman year. It's the first time like something like that has happened to me.
Yeah.
And they actually ended up scoring that shift because I was like so discombobulated. Like, I was like, did that actually happen? And I went over to the ref, and I was like, I'm not like arguing the goal or thing. I just want to let you know this is what just happened to me. And he's like, he's sorry, but he can't do anything because he didn't hear it. And I'm like, I understand that, but I'm letting you know that this was just said to me.
Well, I touched on it already, but just my own family really played a big role. A really big impact in my life has been my dad. He played a high level of sport. He grew up in Edmonton, and he played quarterback, and I think he would probably like me to share this, but I think to this day he's the only quarterback from Alberta to go Division I straight out of high school on a scholarship, and he played for a year at Washington State and then transferred to Wyoming. And his career ended when he was trying out for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Actually, unfortunately, he had a career-ending injury. Maybe fortunately, but that's the way it went. But he always coached, and so that in itself, just having someone that I'm comfortable with around and that I knew had my back, was huge. And then definitely my brother and older cousin too. They both played all growing up, and being able to watch them. And there was a long time where people didn't even know my name. That's a own struggle in itself. But I was just Lil Rowe, and like the way was paved for me, and it was really easy to look up to them. And like they, honestly, there were times where I was frustrated because they set the bar so high. Like this is tough to live up to, and just find my own path in that. But it's been really cool. And my brother, he signed here and played 5 years here. He's 5 years older than me, so I never really got to play with him, except for my first year here. That was our first time playing together, which was really cool. And then my cousin, love him, but he went to the U of A, so.
Traitor.
Yeah. No, but he only played, I think, 2 or 3 years there. But his third year there, he had I think he's in top 10 in receiving yards in the season or something. So he's a crazy athlete, and yeah. So it was just every level I played in football and even in basketball, they knew who I was, and we do have a different look, and like coaches. Are you another row? I thought we were done with you. Please tell me you're the last one, whatever. So like everyone knew who I was, just because of my last name and the way that I looked. So it did help that they were familiar with me even before they knew it, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really cool to be raised by and to grow up with people who have done a lot of what I wanted to do, and show me how. And I can still I should go to them more often for counsel and help. Like I have great resources around me, and I feel really blessed. And that's again part of the reason I want to do this. I don't have a younger brother or younger sister, even younger cousins. I'm the youngest to give back to, but there's so many people that we can reach. Even just being a youth sports athlete at this level, naturally you have a platform, and trying to be the help that other people have meant to be to others.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Yeah, it's amazing. Don, how about you?
I think like I'm very fortunate to still be very close to like my African heritage. So like my older sister and I were super tight. Some people say we're twins, but there can only be one, so we're not twins. So yeah, just like she really helped me grow into like the Black Queen, and she really like empowered me that way. And then once I got into bobsleigh, I was very fortunate to be surrounded by other Black people. Like one of my biggest mentor, and just like he's like a brother to me, Neville Wright. He did bobsleigh, track, like literally the male version of me, like short torso, long legs, just there. And so I don't know, they just really helped me be comfortable and allow me to trust my power and trust that whatever path I choose, I'm gonna be successful in it. And I think if I didn't have them, the path I chose would have been very difficult.
I feel like for like you two both talking about like your siblings or anything like that, my 2 older brothers also, they big role. My one brother's 4 years older than me, the other brother is 15 years older than me. It's a little bit of an age gap, but like as we grew up, we got more close, connected, and that was just kind of like your bond. Like it's so different. Like we can't really explain it to anyone else. It's just like your bond with your siblings is so crucial. And like my oldest brother, he used to coach me and my middle brother, and he's done more for us than we know. I think he's probably done so much that he likes to not talk about, but he does a lot. And then my middle brother, he went to RPI for a little bit for hockey, and then he went to Queens and played hockey there. So it's kind of just like people to look up to who are, obviously it's a bit different than guys hockey, but it's still someone to like look up to and stuff like that, and they've definitely helped shape who I am. All my parents, but I feel like everyone's parents are always great.
Big hockey family then.
Big hockey family.
Like, is everybody supporting the same NHL team, or do we have debates on?
We gotta be Sens fans. They're not the best all the time, but that's okay. Hometown, it's okay. My middle brother, he's doing like some stuff with the Maple Leafs right now, so that's a little odd because it's always like Sens and Leafs are rivals. So he's wearing some Leaf stuff to Christmas, and we're all like, okay, that's enough.
That's good. I think that we've all had role models in our community, like within our family, or just being able to talk to people outside that have shaped who we are today. And Don mentioned, like, this platform is a great resource for us to be the role models for everyone else younger than us that look like us or look like Nurse on the national team or anybody else that we may look up to. So I think it's nice that we show people that look like us that they have an opportunity to do something to succeed, because I know for myself growing up, I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. I lived there for like over a decade, and it was very important for me to see someone that looked like me succeed, because like Trinidad's really great, but it's also it's a third world country, so there's a lot of crime and a lot of people that had a lot of opportunity or are very bright but just didn't follow through and succeed in life. So like very grateful to have you guys here and to share your stories, because I think it's one thing to talk about Black History Month, but it's different to be around guests that have kind of are like a walking embodiment of what MLK had a dream for us to be in these spaces and like break barriers. So I think it was great to have you guys here.